Today I'm going to be showing you how to cut the perfect hairline on a hair system, and this video is in partnership with Lavivid Hair. Firstly, I want to say thank you to everyone who's supporting these videos and Lavivid Hair because they are amazing, and I think this is the best unit and hair system company out there because I've used it myself and I've been using this on either mannequins or on a couple clients, and I really stand behind them and I love the quality. So if you are looking to purchase anything from the lavividhair.com website, use code TheSalonGuy and you will get a nice discount, a 15% discount, which is awesome. And so definitely check them out. And also if you have any questions, you can follow them on their Instagram page and DM the account, and Tina, who is super nice and super helpful, will respond back to you if you have any questions. So how to cut the perfect hairline. So what you're going to need is a couple of tools. So I'm using these these are like pretty cheap scissors, okay? I do have obviously high quality professional hair cutting shears, which I have used for this, but I want to show you it can be done with something like this because not everyone, especially if you're doing this yourself, has professional hair cutting shears. If you do, that's great. If not, you're gonna have to use something like this or even smaller than this. And maybe a spray bottle, a comb, right? A regular hair cutting comb, which I do sell on my website, shop.thesalonguy.com. This is what I use. And then just a handful of different types of clips. You can use these duckbill clips here. These are regular clips for sectioning, or a strong alligator clip. This thing is very, very, very strong. So the key to creating and cutting a very natural hairline, that's the whole mystery, and that's what makes a hair unit look real. So lots of times what I've seen is, someone will go in and they'll create their base outline and say, here is the front, right, of the hair system right here. And what they'll do is they'll create the base outline and it'll extend into the actual hair unit itself, meaning it's going to cut an outline around this area. It's going to go into the depth of the system. Many times it will be cut, right? You'll cut the outline, and what you're doing is you're cutting into the actual unit itself, going fairly far back. And that is not what I suggest. So the best thing to do is if you take a look at your hair system when it's freshly out of the box, you're going to see in the very, very, very front, there is a little bit of poly, and what that is that's just excess, and that is what you cut off, right? That is what you cut, and you take your time, and what I suggest doing is cutting right on the plastic here, because the plastic is actually acting as a supportive base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk you step by step on how I would go about cutting this live, so hopefully this will help you in creating the most natural hairline possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create short little cuts right into here, just to give myself a little bit of a head start. And then the good thing about this is that you have some area to work with. Right? You want to make sure that you cut out any excess here so that you have a much easier way to access where the hair unit should be cut. So for example here, now I've cut this out of the way and I'm able to start working inward. So you can see here why it's a little bit more difficult with longer shears like this, but I know that not every one of you is going to have professional shears, and that's why I suggest really taking your time and cutting on angles using just the inner part of the shears, because if you are using the tips here, most of the times they're not going to be as sharp, and you need these to be fairly sharp. But I've also even cut this on dull scissors. So there's the very, very tips here. You can see it's barely even cutting, right, because they're so dull. But what I'm doing is I'm really just taking my time and working section by section right into here to make sure that the hair unit itself comes out exactly how I want it, which is the most natural possible. Now, obviously, on a hair system, the hair can be a little bit finicky because it wants to jump all the way around, and see that? It wanted to spring up because of the fact that it's been sitting on this base for who knows how long, and it's kind of formed into that shape. So the hair wants to kind of come forward. I'm cutting right to the very, very edge. And what happens is when you cut the hair, right, you can use the inner part of the shear because that's going to be sometimes the sharpest. And what that's going to do, it's going to help really just cut what needs to be cut rather than cutting the entire section off when you don't really want to do that. All right, so now that we've cut some of the polyurethane base off, it's now time to start doing the fine tuning. Okay, and here is what the base looks like. And now if you do happen to have professional shears, it's really in your best interest to either invest in shears that you can get fairly cheap, honestly, on Amazon. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start to cut off, right, that excess, just that little tiny bit of excess poly right in through here and I'm cutting from underneath because the base is sticking pretty much straight out. So I want to come from underneath here so I have a better vantage point when I'm doing this. And again, take your time. The hair, what's going to happen is the hair is going to basically be very visible as far as where it meets the base when you're cutting on top of it on this angle this way. And I'm literally just grabbing the base like this, and because of the flexibility of it, it makes it so much easier for me to really just go in and see where the hair starts on the actual base. And again, this detailing right here is really what sets everything apart as compared to just going in, outlining the bottom, and then ruining the whole entire piece by cutting into it in through here, right? You don't ever want to cut into it because what you're doing is you're making it look unnatural. And the whole point and the whole goal of this thing is to make it look as natural as possible. This is definitely something that takes time, but I think not enough people do this. And that's why you see on some hair systems, it just looks so unnatural because of the fact that this isn't done and it's cut the wrong way. So as you look on top, you want to kind of switch back to where it was before, and now you're looking down on it like this, and you want to basically look for any part of the hairline that still does not look natural. That's why I think you need to do it in all different directions, because that is what's going to help the most. So I'm going to, again, fine-tune this and use your hands and use your fingers to do every little cut piece by piece. All right, everyone, so I just want to show you what this looks like when applied to the scalp. This doesn't have a whole lot of glue on it, to be honest with you, so you know the hairline is moving around a little bit, but as you can see in through here, and I haven't cut this, it's literally, I wanted to show you what it looks like putting it onto the scalp. The unique thing, obviously, is the fact that the hairline, right, which is really, really important, is, you know, it is pretty much perfect, in my opinion, because we spend so much time doing it, but at the same time, it looks very, very natural. So you want to have some inconsistencies, and a lot of times I end up creating almost like a little bit of a widow's peak where the hairline is just slightly longer right into the front. It looks a little bit more natural, or sometimes the corners recede back just a little bit. But in order to keep it natural looking, you know, I think, again, as you can see here, it's literally right down to the very, very scalp here, and there's no traces of any sort of base or poly or anything popping through, and it looks extremely, extremely natural. And this was just putting it on so you can see what it looks like, right? Again, this is a thin skin poly base to me, which is, in my opinion, the most natural looking that you can get. And if I were to, you know, wash this and then cut it and, you know, kind of texturize it and thin it out a bit, it's going to look that much more realistic. But I really want to show you guys what the difference is by taking your time and really putting in the effort to make that hairline look as natural as possible when cutting it. So first, you may try these and they may or may not work for you, but be very careful if you're using these. Again, you can go on Amazon and purchase quote unquote professional shears for a fairly affordable price, which are going to be fairly sharp, to be honest with you. They'll be pretty sharp, much sharper than these types of shears, and just take your time, and the more effort you put into it, it's going to really pay off in the end. And choosing the right unit is also important too, because you want to look as natural as possible, so make sure that whatever you're choosing to wear, you know, it's going to be the best thing for your overall look, because the last thing you want is to wear a system that's too thick, too heavy, and that looks not real. So anyway, don't forget, use code TheSalonGuy for 15% off your order, which is really awesome, at lavividhair.com. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for more videos with a Salon Guy.